I'm Joel LaMonaco. Welcome to the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour. Hey, Miss Ruth Rowe Campbell from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals.
Hello.
How are you, my lady?
Fantastic.
We are going to do a show this month that is a little different. We've talked so much about real estate, but I think last month's show, when we were talking to Clarence, helped us kind of bridge the gap from where we're going here. We spent most of the first half of the year talking about real estate, and almost exclusively real estate. Then we brought Clarence in, and we want to thank him again for sharing his story. And we will follow up with him. We will give you an update as to how he progresses and gets settled into his new life.
He's doing fine.
Oh, good.
He
Very
is
good.
doing fine.
All right, good. But we started to talk a little bit more about not just the house or business, but the things, the items, the things of value that we accrue over the course of our lives, or if you're a business owner, things that are of value that need to be divested separately if you are getting yourself out from under or retiring from or downsizing out of a larger building or so on. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But one small subsection. So where are we going with this conversation?
Where are we going? Well, we're introducing Miss Shea, who has worked for us for a long period of time.
How many years, Ms. Shea?
Almost 19.
Almost 19
Do you
years.
believe it?
And you haven't scared her
Right
away
hand
yet.
lady, yes.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. And so what we're going to be talking about today is we're going into the numismatic portion
Yes,
of
we are.
diggingfordeals.com.
Gold, silver, and rare coins.
When I was a young person, and maybe this is a young person's game, I think maybe when you get into it, I've known a few other friends of mine and now kids of friends of mine that have gotten very into coin collecting for some reason. And for me, I'm trying to remember why I got started in the first place. I think maybe it was a grandparent that might have had something like in a jewelry box or something that was left over, and they say, oh, here's a silver quarter. Oh, well, that's an interesting thing. I'll start there. Oh, I got a wheat penny in my change at the store or something like that. And it kind of clicks something maybe in your head to say, these are things that I have
of value.
Yeah, that have more than just the face value. There's a connection to it. In a broader sense, what we're talking about is the fact that the things that we accrue in our lives have value that can be sometimes a lot more than we actually think they are.
And we had a customer, Shay and I, who had a large coin collection. And the story behind it was that her mother, who recently passed away, had been a teller in a local bank in Attica, New York. And as the coins came over the counter, she knew which ones to look for of value. And she saved this huge collection of coins for an inheritance for her daughter.
Okay.
I'd love to get her on the show sometime.
Oh, that would be a fantastic story to share. But I think a lot of people did that. They looked at the coins or paper money in some cases, that's part of it as well, currencies of all varieties, as something that would appreciate in value over time. And I think that was kind of maybe generationally or of an era that seemed to be kind of a thing. And then it got passed on from that generation into younger generations. I know as a child of the 1970s, and my grandparents who came in through the Depression and World War II, they were very much about, you hang on to these things because if you keep it long enough, it's going to have some value long term.
Absolutely. And we've found rare coin collections in tin cans in some old garage someplace. You have to be careful what you toss out.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's good that you forget about it because then it keeps nice and safe until somebody finds it. We talked with Clarence last month about downsizing and about things that are okay to part with when you use Digging for Deals and you use Ruth and Shay and the team here and you get that value for it if you're going to do it. But why do you think it's tough for people to want to part with those things? They have gold or silver or coin collections. They kind of hang on to those things for so long.
There is emotional value to it. And they also feel that their children and grandchildren would recognize the same value they do. However, The one thing is, gold is selling for over $3,600 a troy ounce, and silver is over $40 a troy ounce. So if you have any kind of coin collection that's just hanging around in a tin can in your garage, especially, drawers, any place, now's the time to think about consigning that collection, not going to the gold dealer and getting melt value.
Okay. That's what I wanted to talk about. What is the difference then? Because think, I just take it to the dealer because I just want to part with this. I don't care, I guess, or maybe I'm not going to do my homework on it. But talk to me about the difference then of using a consigner like Digging for Deals as opposed to getting that melt value that you talked about.
Melt value is what you get when you see a dealer and they have the signs out on the curb. We buy gold.
And it's flashing neon.
Sure, they do. And you may get cash in your hand quickly. But the trade-off is that you're going to get a huge discount in the true market value of those coins, particularly rare coins, which have no value to dealers. Just melt value only. Melt them down, and that's it.
And they just sell the raw metal because that's going to have some value there.
We have sold pennies, and Shay's going to get into this true stories, but she has sold pennies literally for $1,000.
1 cent could potentially be worth hundreds, if not low thousands of dollars, maybe even more, depending. Because I've seen some rarities that's maybe you don't even know you have.
You don't even know
until you have.
But she spotted them.
So there are choices here. Is basically what we're getting down to. It's not just a question of that dealer or that pawn shop or the gold dealer or whatever.
Yes.
So the options that they have, if they were to contact Digging for Deals to go through it, you're going to be able to really take the time and put a better trained eye on these.
Yes, we do. We have the knowledge. We're able to analyze the collection, appraise the collection if that's required for an estate. And what's even more exciting, we have the opportunity to market it and bring in knowledgeable, competitive bids.
That's what we talk about every month here on the show, is what the Digging for Deals team does with all types of collections, with real estate, with equipment, or whatever you have that is of value. It's putting it in front of the people that are going to spend those dollars that they have to acquire the item that you have. It's maximizing return because these things do have value. Not only their face value, but there is a value to you as the owner, and you should want to maximize that for little effort. And the team at Digging for Deals is going to take that effort off your shoulders and put it on theirs.
We can do it.
Absolutely. There is a way for you to get that market value for your items. We're talking coins on this edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour. You'll find Digging for Deals and Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at diggingfordeals.com. See what collections are up there right now. See what properties are up there for you to participate in. Get in on Ruth's newsletter. There's no spam involved here, but if you want to keep up on what is the latest, what is the new auctions that are going to be starting so that you can get in on them. Maybe there's something that's going to cross Ruth's desk that you would like to have in your possession to be part of your collection. Well, you can find it at diggingfordeals.com. All right, coming back. Ruth alluded to it. So how do they put eyes on it? Sorting, analyzing, and appraising to make sure that they're getting the right value, putting those items in front of the right people to maximize your return by utilizing an auction. We will discuss that when we continue on the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour next on News Radio WHAM 1180. Back for more on the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180. I'm Joe LaMonaco. We're here at Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals and diggingfordeals.com, and we are talking about coins. This is something that's, I don't want to say it's universal, but there are a lot of people that have had them. Maybe you started collecting as a kid. Maybe you inherited one from an older family member. Maybe something from, that you saw a grandparent or maybe a parent do, and then you decided to have on a hobby. Well, maybe you're in a point in your life where you're downsizing, or you're like, you know what, I don't feel the connection to these coins anymore that I collected and saved. Maybe it's time to move them on, and I want to maximize the value. Where do you start? as Myth Ruth mentioned at the beginning of the show, maybe they're just in a coffee can or a cigar box or something. They're kind of disorganized. We're going to bring Michelle in here in the conversation. Hello, and thank you for being on the show. We're going to keep Ruth quiet for a moment. It's just going to be you and me.
Hi, Joe.
Hello. Shay's been with the organization for 19 years. Okay, so she's got a lot of experience and has seen probably many of these types of situations with other clients. I want to talk about that sorting, analyzing, and appraising. So if somebody comes into you, and you probably have a few stories you could share, and they just drop that coffee can or cigar box on your desk and say, help me, I don't know what this is worth or where to go. How do you like to start the process of going through everything so you have a better understanding of how you can best help this client?
Well, we start by going through and we organize everything.
Okay.
And everything is inventoried and written down. So we make sure that the client has an inventory of all the items that they brought in. Then we have a list that are the popular coins or the most valuable. And we start going through them, do some research if there's items that might bring additional interest.
Mm-hmm.
And
because there is, I would suspect, a level of subjectivity in appraised values. When you're out there looking around for additional information, how do you know, or what has experience taught you as sort of where that sweet spot is to say, look, here's where we should go with this if we're going to put this on the auction block and invite buyers to come in and potentially spend their money on this, that we're not overdoing it, but not underdoing it?
Research. One word.
Okay.
Research.
And that research, though, because you can see a lot of different, you may say like, oh, I have this coin. I've seen it go for $1,000. I've seen it go for $50. How do you then interpret a lot of that research to say this is where our expertise says is the right place for you to go?
Well, Miss Shea can answer that question because that is a market value thing. Okay. We have the tools, the internet, the AI. We have modern tools to analyze every single coin that comes across the desk, every single little imperfection on a coin that may be worth big money, okay, to a consigner, to a seller. And she has the know-how and the tools to analyze a collection and bring it to market, and it may be at a competitive price.
Okay.
But then the bidders, the buyers, will bid that one. They'll see something that even we don't see.
Okay. And so you're able to utilize all the information that's out there. Plus, your bidders are also helping you to understand for then future clients that may come in. Oh, we did really well on this. Maybe we want to up the ante on the next one that comes through, especially if you find those rarities in a collection, because I imagine that has happened too, where somebody doesn't even know what they have before they bring it to you to look at.
yes, and condition is key. And when we put items out there for auction, we have to make sure the photos show the condition of the coins.
Okay.
Coins are everything, and especially with an online auction, a lot of the people aren't going to be able to come in to view the items in person.
Okay.
So we have to make sure our photos are as detailed as possible so people know what they're purchasing, and they might be able to see a double die error or something that we might not recognize.
In the numismatic field, there are a lot of different things. And I know from the very small time I spent with it in my childhood that there are all of these very odd little imperfections that may have happened in the mints, things that didn't come out quite right, and there may be just a few in circulation. How adept have you gotten in your time here at Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals at digginfordeals.com and spotting those rarities? Because sometimes they can be very minor, and you really got to know what you're looking for.
You have to know what you're looking for. And we have different tools up to 100 times zoom.
Okay.
That helps us a lot because some of them are very fine details. A tail feather, different errors, and you just have to be able to look for them. If there's something that might look different, we research it.
Okay. to make sure that it is actually came from the mint and it wasn't something that someone had tried to put on that coin.
Yes.
Maybe over time. Do you still get excited when you find those rarities that come in?
Of course.
Especially when you can go back and you can tell a client, hey, did you realize that you had XYZ or whatever in their collection, a particular penny or quarter or dime or something like that was very, very rare, and maybe they just threw it in that box and they had no idea what they could potentially get. That, I think, is probably one of the awesome things about utilizing a consignment and auction marketplace is that it gives that seller the sense of, wow, I didn't realize that my hobby or something that I've been sitting on for so long could be so lucrative to me as I downsized out. I can actually get a good gain from that.
Yes.
Instead of giving it away.
Mm-hmm. Or
unknowingly.
As you mentioned earlier, just giving it over to a dealer to be melted down and turned into something else.
The most fun thing we do is issue checks to sellers who had no idea what they had the value of what they gave us.
And that is the surprising thing for you as the seller, to know that and also it serves to remind you that everything you have has a value or can have a value if it is put in front of the right person. Let's move on from there then to talk about how you connect then with the buyers. You've got all of this information then, and you're getting it ready to present a collection in the best possible way. So what kind of buyers are showing up for this, and where can buyers potentially show up for this?
Well, we can use algorithms to help us find the buyers that are interested in certain coins or certain items, and make sure that we're able to put this auction in front of the correct buyers based on their algorithms of what they're searching or their interests are. We also use different forums to help reach buyers and get a wider range of buyers for the auction. That's
what I wanted to expand on a little bit from your perspective. We're here in Miss Ruth's office. This is the command center of diggingfordeals.com. You're over in the shop area on the other side. But I wanted to talk a little bit from your perspective about like how you're able to market. I suppose it's like fishing. You've got to bait the water correctly. Is it kind of and the algorithms can certainly help, but there's a knowledge that you've collected over the years as well about where to go to entice the right buyers to come in. Do you think that there's an art to that as well? I mean, the algorithms will help, but you've learned the art to it. If you can give us a little peek behind your curtain as a smidge.
Yes, there's always an art to it. You can use different groups. Facebook is a great tool. Mm-hmm. It helps you reach out to different buyers, but also experts that if there's something that might be questionable, they can give you insight. And the best value is to put it in front of the collectors. Yeah,
or like, do you get up on Reddit sometimes and go like, hey Reddit, take a look at this. I mean, Reddit will love to get in on that action, to tell you like, oh, that's a fraud, or big eyeballs, like, oh, you've got this great thing. Bottom line here, as we're getting ready to go to our next break, you may be sitting on something or have something that has been passed to you from a previous generation that has incredible value. You might not even know it. But in order to achieve that value, you have to wind up getting that collection in front of the right eyes. And that's what Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals and diggingfordeals.com, that is their sweet spot. That is what they do. If you've got that coin collection, instead of taking it in to be melted down because you just want to get rid of it, it's as easy to do that as it is to bring it out here and let that be sorted, analyzed, and appraised so that you'll know exactly what you have, number one, and two, what the potential value of that collection could be. Even if, as you're downsizing out, or as you're thinking, oh, maybe I want to turn those dollars into something else, don't do a disservice to yourself by just pawning it off. Pun very much intended. Bring it out to Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals. All right, coming back. The penny that paid big. Ms. Shea's got a story to tell about us. 1 cent could be worth thousands, and we will dive into that and more when we continue on the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour next on News Radio WHAM 1180. Welcome back to the second half of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180. I'm Joe LaMonaco, along with Ruth Rowe Campbell here from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals. Miss Shea is here with us as well. When you call the office or send an email through diggingfordeals.com, you're getting real people who are here in this area, who have years of expertise that they can bring to bear to help you not only assess your piece of property, your collection. We're talking coins specifically in this edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour, to help you figure out what you have, to help you decide what is the right path forward for you to maximize value for that thing of value, be it property, be it collections, so that you can get it in front of the right players. That's their specialty. And then they love delivering checks. That's what Myth Ruth always tells us. They love delivering checks so that you can do what you want with that money. All right. We want to talk about, this is something that we teased earlier on the show. We were going to tell you the story about the penny that was worth thousands. All right. I have spent time in my youth going through the books, the coin grading guides, 1909 SVDBs. If you've spent time in numismatic circles, you know what a 1909 SVDB is for pennies. But anyways, so this may be something similar, but maybe not. All right. So let's start with the headline. How were you able to turn a single penny into $1,000?
It's actually really funny you said that. It was a 1909 VDB. It was not an VDB, but it was a VDB. It did show signs of wear, but it just happened to be in a book that somebody had inherited and they brought into us. And we put it in a small auction of coins, and we had over 514 bids in the auction.
Whoa.
On 1 cent?
On a single penny.
With over 1,000 views on this auction for this single penny. And the penny went for almost $1,000.
It is incredible to think. Again, you said it was just sitting in a book.
Yes.
It's just part of an overall collection. It goes back to what you were talking about earlier about those rare finds and those things that might be sitting in with a bunch of other coins, and you have no idea that it's even there. And if you don't know what to look for, you're going to potentially just say, oh, it's just another penny.
Yeah.
Those people in numismatic circles know that VDB is a very particular mint mark. And it carries a lot of weight because over the years, and it's well over 100 years now, there's not a whole lot of those still left floating around. I would imagine they're probably not in circulation. Most of them, if they do exist, are probably in collections like that.
Yes. Most of them are in collections. It's very hard to find the older coins still in circulation. And it's all the condition once you do find them.
So what went through your mind as you're going through this book, okay? And I imagine was it just full of pennies or full of all different kinds of coins?
All different kinds of coins.
Okay, so you're looking through and you're going through your process as you talked about. What did you do when you came across that one and you kind of stopped and said, "Ooh, let's take a little bit closer look at this sucker"?
Well, we pulled that one aside, and we had to put it under magnification, make sure that it was accurate, and it was shocking. I came and talked to Ruth, and we reached out to the seller and let them know that we'd found this coin. And they were really excited. They thought that it was a face value item, or maybe worth a couple dollars. It's
you almost want to say, like, would you like to take it back and scratch off a lottery ticket with it? Because chances are, it could be very much your lucky coin. And again, you probably don't see many of these in your almost 20 years experience. How many do you think that you have seen, maybe, that have come through your desk that you physically held in your hand?
Handful.
Yes, a handful of them.
Okay. So I guess the seller thought, maybe this is a face value item, maybe I get a couple of bucks from that. As you put it out on auction, how did you react? And was the seller able to watch the auction as it went? Was it an open auction so they could watch that bid go up along with you?
Yes, the seller can watch our auctions, watch the bidding as they're happening. I don't think in this particular case the seller did watch it, but we actually stayed late and watched the auction close, and we called to tell her, and she didn't believe us.
Well, of course not, because they come in with an expectation that this thing I have, I don't believe it could have a value. And that's where I think maybe, I'm going to bring Ruth in down here. I think maybe that's where people miss the boat, that they just take collections of coins like this and just throw them off and say, look, just melt them down, give me whatever the weight value is, I don't really care.
That's actually the first thing we hear is, I don't want to deal with it. I don't know anything about it. I don't have any idea what the value is. Help me figure it out. And that card that Shalane was referring to, Miss Shea, was something that somebody would just bring to a dealer and they would get $20.
Yes.
If that.
Mm-hmm. Well, because a dealer, let's be honest, somebody else who might know about coins, condition, rarity, might look at that and maybe play it a little close to the vest and say, well,
of course,
I'll give you $20 for it, like they're doing you a favor.
Yeah. Or they may not even be able to spot it on the spot. It may just come in a collection, and it's a group of them, and
they don't even look through them until after the fact.
Exactly, we'll make you an offer.
So again, it goes back to that sorting and appraising. And at Digging for Deals, you really do, let's talk a little bit about this, you really do take the time to look through each one individually. That's a time commitment that you have to make. How do you balance the time commitment that you want to take to make sure that you're meeting? Sometimes a client might have a timetable. Maybe they want to move kind of quickly. How are you able to kind of balance it to make sure that they have a full understanding of what they've given you and that you feel comfortable with how you have assessed those value points?
We're very upfront with our clients. We let them know that what the timetable is. If there might be a slight delay in us being able to get through their entire collection, we do let them know. And some of our clients have brought us an inventory list when they bring us their coins. Okay. Other ones just bring them in and drop them off. And they're like, well, get to them when you get to them. It's okay.
Okay.
If they come in, some of our clients prefer to roll their coins. We do unroll them so we can go through every single coin.
Well, you have to,
yes.
So that you could have one buried in the middle and you don't quite know exactly what it is. So, and this auction was how many days, just as an example?
Approximately 10 to 14 days.
Okay, so, and that's about standard where most of them will
yes.
go, to be able to bring in as many players as possible. And when you've got those rarities that do show up, believe me, those people that are out there collecting, they talk to each other. They know, and they share information. It could bring additional bidders in there. I mean, you must have had an expectation for this one particular coin as to where it could potentially go. And you want to temper your clients' expectations, I would imagine, so that you can say, okay, we think it's going to go here. And they may be, oh, I didn't realize. And then they come back with the shock of a lifetime by the time it's all over with. So how did that line up, your expectation to where it actually went?
The penny exceeded our expectation. The penny wasn't in the best of condition. It was circulated.
Okay.
So it did have some wear and tear on it. But the client was ecstatic with what we got.
Of course they would. I would be. My gosh.
And we love our customers.
Yes, we love our customers.
So when they're happy, we're happy.
We advertise nationwide, and we ship, and we have tracked and insured shipping. And actually that coin sold out of state.
And that's another thing I wanted to mention before we take our final break here, is that it's not just here in the greater Rochester area or in Monroe County or in Western New York that you're putting these items in front of. Diggingfordeals.com goes nationwide and can go nationwide. Anybody can play. You don't necessarily have to be based here in Western New York, right?
Correct. And actually, we have shipped internationally, including a fire truck that went to Mexico.
Oh, that will be a story for another day. All right, we got to take our final break. All right. So why competition pays more? And could you be sitting on a treasure that you don't even know about? We're going to wrap things up on this edition of the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour when we continue next here on News Radio, WHAM 1180. Back to wrap things up on the Truth from Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180. We are talking about the collections, the value. We've been talking a lot about coins. Maybe you've got one. Maybe you have a coin collection that you started yourself. Maybe you inherited one. Maybe it's been sitting in a coffee can or a cigar box and you have no idea what's in it. Not only no idea what's in it, but what the value of that could potentially be. No matter what the collection is. It could be a coin collection. It could be like our friend Clarence, who we talked to last couple of months, who downsized out of his place, doing well in his brand new life in a
moving forward,
better suited environment for him to be in. You want to talk about you never know the value of what we have. Shay, he brought you a collection of figurines. That was part of what he was downsizing out of. He had an expectation. Let's talk about expectation and then the results that went back into his pocket as a result of this. Now I don't know what the figurines were, if they were particular type.
They were called Buyer's Choice Carolers.
I know the Buyer's Choice collection, yes. and they are sought after by the right collectors.
Yes.
And the right collectors will pay good money, especially for ones that are no longer available or were very short-term runs or whatever. So what was his expectation as he had this collection of figurines, which I believe were his wife's who had passed away?
Yes.
And he gave them to you, and what did he think he was going to get for them?
Originally, he told us to go ahead and just group them all together and sell them. If he could get $500, he would be happy.
Okay.
And we did some research on them, and we went back to him and we said, Clarence, we feel the best option is to break them down and market them nationwide. He ended up getting a return of a net proceeds of over $3,300.
That's a check that you got to deliver to him.
Absolutely.
You probably could have knocked him over with a feather because of that.
He was delighted.
How common is it then, I guess maybe you've seen this happen more often, that people will bring you something that they think has low value, potentially no value, or it's just sentimental to them. But if it's in front of the right people and the right players, it can be very valuable.
It can. You have to put it in front of the right people and not limit your market.
Okay.
Because we broke them down, they were able to be shipped nationwide, and we had shipped the carolers to over 12 different states.
Got them in front of the right players. Ruth, we talk about this all the time. You've got to bring the right buyers in, and that's what an auction does. A properly researched, marketed auction, no matter what it is, whether it's property, and we've talked a lot in past shows about property, and we're talking about collections and specifically coins in this episode. If you're bringing the right audience in, the potential can be great. And I would imagine that there are people that are sitting on those cigar boxes and coffee cans or books of coins that came down from grandpa and aunts and uncles, and they have no idea what they could be sitting on.
They don't even remember they had them.
Until they start cleaning out to downsize, maybe.
They find them.
What a great treasure hunt that
True.
could be for you.
How it is, yes.
To bring it in. Now, let's just talk about from the fact that if somebody wants to have you put eyes on their collection, how does that process work for them so that they know what they're getting into? They're not just going to get like a free service from Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals, but what do you want? What's their expectation so that they know that they're going to work with you and they're upfront about everything?
Well, most people start out with a phone call,
okay,
which we obviously answer, our phone.
Yes, human beings answer the phones here, by the way.
And we listen to our customers. And they'll have a long list of things that they have, and some of them have value, and some of them don't have value.
Okay.
So right there with that simple phone call, we'll be able to narrow it down and say, you may want to bring us in a sampling of what you have. Let us look at it, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So just to get an idea, start with that phone call. Go to diggin4deals.com, and all the contact information is there by phone or by email. You can get in touch with Ruth. And when we're talking about coins, let's go back to the beginning here. Talk to me about that difference and remind people there's the difference between that melt value, that price, and what potentially you can have as an upside to it if it's appraised, cataloged, analyzed, and put in front of the right audience.
Absolutely. And people just need to, if you have a collection of coins, gold, scrap jewelry, currency, anything hanging around, think for a minute, isn't it better to get it looked at for potential value rather than just hand it in to a dealer and get money cash on the spot. Absolutely. There is no doubt involved.
And
no comparison.
No comparison. And also, for ease on your end, if you own the collection, if you have it, and you might think, well, just getting it into someone else's hands is the easiest thing to do. I would disagree with that. It can be just as easy to pick up the phone and call Ruth or Shay and start asking some questions. Then you take a quick drive out here if they want to see a little bit of it. Then you hand that collection over to the experts. You don't have to do a thing. And you can watch that bid go. And be sometimes, as Shay mentioned with that penny story, past performance not necessarily indicative of future results, but you could have a rarity in there that you don't know about that could yield you some great results. And then you would kick yourself in the pants for thinking, how did I ever think about taking this in to be melted down?
And Miss Shay will keep working with the collection until it's all gone. I mean, it may not sell everything in one auction.
Okay.
We may do a half a dozen auctions before the collection is gone. But meanwhile, these checks are going out to the sellers. The collection is going out by overnight mail to the buyers, tracked mail, and it's a win-win for everyone.
All right. We got just a couple of minutes left. If you want, if you've gone through, you don't even realize you have it, maybe you are downsizing out of a current location and you're looking for a way to pass this on. Maybe you don't have family to send it along to. Maybe you've inherited something. Maybe it's something you started at when you were young and you put it away and haven't looked at it in 30, 40 years.
Or maybe it's just New York State tax time and you need the money. Right?
Exactly.
That's okay, too.
First step is to just reach out and have a conversation, right?
Right. That's easy.
Okay. Go to diggin4deals.com. Contact information is there by phone or by email. And you can also take a look at what is up currently for auction. And you can see how Diggin' for Deals uses their marketing expertise as well as their appraising and collection expertise to showcase your items in the best possible way. Then you could be potentially very surprised when they give you a call back and say, oh, by the way, your collection netted you X amount of dollars. Bet you didn't think that it could go there, or maybe it exceeded their expectations. And not only do you love delivering checks, you love surprising your clients, don't you?
Bet you didn't know. That's the phone call. Bet you didn't know what you had in that coffee can.
Bet you didn't know what was in your house. And we've talked about coins this time, but any collection, anything of value, anything you have within your home can be an item of value if it is placed in front of the right buyers with the right marketing at the right price. And you can reap the benefits. And why shouldn't you? Bottom line, that's what we talked about. Why shouldn't you get a return on things that you have invested your time, your emotion, and your dollars into when it's time to move them on to the next person?
But think before you give it away.
Yes.
That's all we ask.
Think.
Just think for a minute about what return you're going to get based on the value of what you may have in store.
We are out of time for this month. Go to digginfordeals.com, see what current auctions are up there. Maybe you want to take part in one. You can register at digginfordeals.com. You can get on the newsletter too, so you know when the new auctions are coming. And if you've got something that maybe you question it, you don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, reach out to the team at Diggin' for Deals and Rowe Realty Auctions and Appraisals right there at digginfordeals.com. Miss Shay, thank you very much for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.
Miss Ruth, as
Thank
always,
you.
thank you very much, and we look forward to
Yes.
talking to you next month. The Truth for Ruth Radio Hour on News Radio WHAM 1180.